The World Trade Organization is the only international organization dealing with the global rules of trade between nations. Its main function is to ensure that trade flows as smoothly, predictably, and freely as possible. The result is a more prosperous, peaceful, and accountable economic world.
This is the beginning, and everything's at stake.
There's only one thing that the ruling interests have ever wanted, and that's everything.
What we are against is trade at any cost.
This is not about trade. This is about a corporate constitution.
We're pitted to be pitted against each other in a race to the bottom. Who will accept the most miserable working conditions?
Well, I think it's a very telling fact that you can go out on the street anywhere in the United States and ask people to give you one sentence about the World Trade Organization, and they won't be able to say one intelligible sentence about what it is, where it's based, what it does, when it was created, whose interests it serves, whose interests does it hurt.
We are talking about trade agreements which don't have to do just with trade, but they have to do with every aspect of life. They have to do with agriculture, they have to do with our forests, they have to do with the environment and nature, they have to do with how we lead our lives, they have to do with what kind of human rights we have.
The World Trade Organization is based in Geneva, Switzerland. It groups 134 national governments who signed on to a treaty called GATT, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. And they agreed to abide by these rules. And the World Trade Organization is, in a sense, the court that decides when there's a dispute between corporations, between governments, how will it come down. It's very instructive to look at the record of all the cases that the WTO has ruled on, whether it's the sea turtles versus corporations, the dolphins versus corporations, the small farmers versus corporations. In every single case, the WTO has ruled on the side of big corporations and against people and the environment.
Cards are stacked against the small farmers. Cards are stacked against anyone who is on the periphery of the system. It has really become a trade which benefits the corporations at the expense of the poor.
The first 100 agreements by the WTO were all for the benefit, all on the side of rich multinational corporations, and against public regulations, the environment, labor, consumer interests and rights, and also democratic sovereignty.
This isn't about whether or not we're for trade or against trade. It's what's the rules of the trade game going to be.
What you have is a faceless government who's making international decisions to determine what the workplace is going to be about, what trade is going to be about, and they right now are making decisions in favor of the multinational corporations, and the little people are getting left on the cutting room floor.
Yes, we know that trade is important and can change people's lives, but we need to have rules that put people before profits. We need to have rules that put the planet before profits. That's what this debate's all about.
These guys are playing for real. There's only one thing that the ruling interests have ever wanted, and that's everything.
Well, 200 years ago, we established a principle in this country that ultimate political authority does not reside in the king or the president or the Constitution or the Supreme Court or the Congress. Ultimate political authority, sovereignty, resides in we the people.
I don't want to lose democracy for my children, for my grandchildren. And the way the WTO is set up, we're losing it. And if we don't all stand up, we're going to lose it.
We're on our way to be near the convention center, try and prevent today's meeting from taking place.
So you're in the lockdown crew?
I'm taking part in that, yes.
Okay. Why do you feel that a strategy like a lockdown is important? Why do you think this is the right way to go?
I think it does two things. One is that we're actually physically standing in the way of what's going to happen today, and that's important for us to do. And second of all, it demonstrates that people are willing to both go outside of the boundaries and put themselves at risk, and that they feel this is really important, and that's something that people around the world need to know, that this is a very serious thing.
Human need not corporate greed. Human need not corporate greed.
My name is Gopal Dayaneni. I'm a preschool teacher from Berkeley, California.
And what's brought you out here today?
What brought me out here today is the totally undemocratic way in which major decisions about human population are being made by the World Trade Organization. You've got people here from all over. You got labor, you got environmentalists, you got teachers, you've got children, you've got coalitions between people of color.
Well, the question you asked me, do I think that we have power? I mean, that's a really great question, and I think we do have power. I mean, I think when people get together like this, it's powerful because it will bring attention. It has to be covered. It has to be looked at, and just that word will spawn conversation. If no one came out for this and said, hell, you know, those guys know what's best, let them do their thing, and just read the nightly news or sat down in front of TV and watched it that way, then I don't think there'd be nearly as much questioning. You know, there wouldn't be nearly as much meat for conversation. So in that way, I do think there is power in the people.
We don't have a vote, so they won't either. We don't have a vote, so they won't either.
What's going on here today?
We're demonstrating the WTO. We're trying to shut it down.
What do you mean shut it down?
Well, right now we're blockading the entranceway that most of the delegates are trying to get in. So we're literally trying to shut down the meeting.
Look at these kids up here. They got a sign up that says, "Don't trade our future." For these young kids in the street today, it's about their future being traded off by corporations who frankly don't give a shit what happens to them. That's what it's about. That's what people are fed up with it. They understand it.
Direct action brought these people together. Many of them on the street I've talked to have never been in a direct action before. They feel very empowered. They're starting to understand that people can be empowered and take charge of things themselves, and direct action is perfect for getting people in that role to take charge over their own lives.
They have not started the WTO meetings because of you all.
They're tear gassing 16-year-old girls sat on the ground. It's outrageous.
They kept telling us to move and we didn't move, and they tear gassed us and they moved in.
No more violence! No more violence! Don't let anyone no more violence! No more violence!
The police began to spray tear gas into the crowd and shot rubber bullets indiscriminately into the crowd.
This is an overkill. They could have had these guys standing way back around the corner, had regular officers out here. This is like almost we dare you to act.
Vine a Seattle para unirme con todos los trabajadores y trabajadoras del mundo para juntos y juntas reclamar nuestros derechos.
I came to join the rest of the workers from around the world and be workers here in Seattle to reclaim our rights.
As workers of the world, we are saying today to the WTO, we are going to fight you and your policy wherever you are.
Moving on.
Moving on. Moving on. Moving on. Moving on. Nothing can stop me now. Nothing can stop me now.
We are united
Our demands are simple and clear. Every worker deserves protection of basic human rights, prohibition against child labor, slave labor, discrimination, and the freedom to join together with others in a union.
Pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
We've gotten hundreds of orders in the last 3 weeks for riot batons. It's been modified to for a more specific purpose of just moving people or creating a hole in a crowd to get through. Got the cam grip shape, so it fits the natural shape of the hand, and it gives the person using it the feeling of having a striking angle, a striking edge, so they get proper striking technique and can roll that thing to get compliance and submission for the person you're putting down. Or if the crowd is just simply pressing against the officers when they're trying to control them, it's something to keep some space between the officers and the front of the line. And if things become violent, if the officers are attacked, or if the crowds refuse to move away, then you can go to a stick or to chemical weapons. But a lot of things happen first.
You all right, dude? You all right?
My work backlog is shameful. People are waiting a long time for some of this stuff.
Well, the main motivation for us starting the Independent Media Center was folks on the ground here in Seattle recognizing the importance of this issue, and also that all these tremendous, brilliant, articulate people were coming from all over the world to speak truth to power here, to confront globalization and its anti-democratic agenda.
One of the critical aspects to this center is that it's been a clearinghouse of information for lots of individuals, not only who live in Seattle, but have been coming in from around the country and around the globe to participate in the events this week. And we are providing a base of operation for journalists and others who are going out into the streets and capturing the content, editing the content, and then distributing it over the internet, over satellite, over faxes, literally around the world.
We have to find our own ways to get the message out. So because the revolution will not be televised by the corporate media, we hope that the information that has been presented to you by the alternative media is one that you will learn.
What's really important to note about the whole center that's taking place is that it's fairly unprecedented. We've got teams that are covering video, we've got teams that are covering print. We have a newspaper actually being published every day out of this center.
The Blind Spot, which is this paper, it's the paper that the Independent Media Center puts out every day during the WTO. And it's basically like a 11 by 17 fold over that's front and back, and which is pretty much all we can afford to do. I'm sure we could fill a lot more of it at this point. And this was today's headline.
So you weren't read any of your rights when you were arrested? And how long have you been held?
My friend Bjorn, who works here at the IMC, said, Pete, you should come over and get an audio recorder and record what you were doing. You know, and so I came over here and I got one, and I've been out in the streets, and I've interviewed everybody from National Guard to a retired police officer, 15 years or 30 years with the Seattle Police Force, as well as local citizens, as well as, of course, protesters.
I've been editing a lot of audio, and I think it's really important. That's why I've been here. I think it's more important for me than going out in the streets, because protest really works when everyone knows about it. That's the whole point, is to go and get your word across and your message out. And for me, being here, I can get a whole lot more people's message out than just one body in thousands.
What we're doing here is we're watching footage of video that's been shot, that we're picking out segments, short 30-second to 1-minute segments, to be encoded to be put on the web.
We take the tapes as they come in from the streets and we dub them immediately to VHS so that they can send them to the other place where the satellite feeds editing is going on. And those VHS tapes are brought down and we digitize those immediately, and we're just looking for little snippets, interesting things that can inform people.
Actually, my life has been hell throughout the week in trying to make sure that the site is up, because we had not expected so many hits coming in from all over the world. So mainly my job has been to make sure that the site is up.
Welcome to the video desk at the Independent Media Center. What we're doing here is taking tapes in from the field. Over 100 videographers from around the country have come to Seattle to make sure that we break past the corporate media blockade and get images out. Not only images of the police brutality that's been happening, but of course the messages as well.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning. What are you up to?
We are going to the docks to talk to rank and file, longshoremen, and the Vice President of the Longshoremen's Union to talk to them about the impact of imports and possible decisions by the WTO on their jobs and their lives and their community.
To the people! The whole world is going to listen to the voice of the people! They cannot ignore it! There's thousands of us here! There's thousands of us! And we are not afraid! I'm thrilled to be here.
So this is where the dubbing and logging of all the tapes that come into the center happen. They come up from 3rd Avenue, and we have people working here to dub them off and keep a log of what's on them. And then we have sort of an organized system for getting them to the editors.
Given that we started planning this a month ago, we did 5 days of satellite casting, 1 hour a day, half-hour program production every day. All volunteer crews with little or no money to get off the ground. I think it's amazing. And I think the series is probably going to be one of the best documents of what happened here this week.
The individuals here are concerned about getting the truth out, and you know, it's focus which makes things happen, and desire and perseverance.
We've also started talking about using this model and trying to go elsewhere in the country and the world and help people kind of set up similar centers so that there really could be an alternative media network around the world.
We have decided to stop to cry to them and start mobilize grassroots. The power is in the people.
We have the power. Let's use it. Let's sound the drum. Let's get the alarm out and get the information out.
And we are not afraid! Fuck Disney World! Fuck you!
The news people from... Jesus, did you see that?
They're coming in here.
Block it! Block it!
That's fine. It's embarrassing.
Look at this. What kind of people are these?
So, can you let us know why? I was ordered. I know. I understand. Keep you guys in here. I'm following orders. Yeah, I understand that. That's as far as it goes for me. I'm doing what I was told to do. Okay, man. I understand. Simple as that. Okay. The guy behind him with the mustache you want to talk to, Joe? Who's that guy? Okay. Close the door.
And environmentalists committed to the cause of social justice to our people and our planet.
Because in this global economy, we are bound together. We are
bound together in a way that we never have been before.
When labor and student and environmentalists and human rights activists stand together, we can and did shut down the WTO.
There's an unbelievable power in the people, in the trade union movement, when we work together, when we take the human rights activists, the environmental activists, the civic groups, our community coalitions, and we ally this with the labor movement. There's no force in the United States that can turn us back. You're in the ring in the streets of Seattle because you're not in the WTO in the ivory tower. And I want to welcome, this is where you belong, right here with the labor movement.
I think it's making history and it's exciting. And it's been very exciting to see the labor movement come together and really enforce, be out there and send a message to people that we are against the WTO.
What is going to come out is that the message has been sent all across the world and all across the United States. What we're going to see is that people are getting energized.
I'm a member of Earth First, and we work to protect the environment. And we've recently entered into an alliance with the steel workers. We have an alliance for sustainable jobs in the environment, and we're completely tired of we don't buy into this. You know, there's jobs and environment thing. We want them both. We deserve them both, and we need them both.
We were able to show a good demonstration against the WTO, and hope that they get the message from us, from the labor movement and from the rest of the groups too.
I'm a locked out steel worker now for going on this starts our 15th month right now today. And I don't appreciate our jobs all going overseas to a lower pay. If they want to send jobs over there, pay them comparable wage, then it isn't as bad a deal. But when they're just going over there to give them pennies on the dollar so they can make them dollars, that's not right. Not right to not only the workers but to the environment, because they do not have the environmental laws in other countries that we have here.
Say no to WTO. We think WTO is going to ruin the lives of the American people as well as the lives of the people of color all across the third world.
Yesterday was just wonderful. I mean, I can't remember the last time a major American city was shut down by progressive forces protesting corporate greed.
Oh, hell, that's stupid. Who are they going to guard? Are we going to invade the country? We live here.
It was one of the rubber bullets that the police fired at the demonstrators yesterday. And I was actually there when that was happening, and it seemed like the tear gas was fired first, and then people started breaking windows as a response.
I don't know what happened. I know that we had a march and a rally of steelworkers, environmentalists, students, and others that went down to the waterfront for a symbolic steel dumping. It's like the Boston Tea Party. Well, this was the Seattle Steel Party, right? And they were coming back, and for whatever reason, officers started pursuing them or another group of protesters in which they combined and pursued them 12 or 14 blocks and pursued them all the way down here and cornered them down between Broad and First, and then made quite a few arrests. It looks like 2 busloads.
A few windows that were broken were no big deal compared to what could have happened. The police are overreacting, and now they're taking the peaceful protesters that are out here and treating them really wrong. It's wrong. They should realize that if we wanted to raise hell out here, it could have happened.
We don't have a democracy anymore, and the democracy is being lost.
I'm out here. I have a 7-year-old child. I'm out here to voice my opinions on how we should protect our environment for the future. And I have the right to assemble, and my rights have been taken away today. I'm not sure if I still live in America.
How does that make you feel about democracy in America?
I don't believe we have democracy.
Peaceful protest! Peaceful protest!
The very first shot I heard, something hit me and I fell. And then I think a couple other ones must have opened fire, because as soon as I looked back up, there was a few piles of smoke coming up, and I kept hearing more shots going off, and people were scattering.
So I don't have anything wrong. You were coming up from the steelworkers rally, maybe 1,000 people or so, and only 6 cops, and you were walking parallel to the police line.
Right.
And one of them knelt down and suddenly opened fire.
That's exactly what happened.
Well, thanks a lot, Joe.
Thank you so much.
You're feeling better?
I am already. Thank you.
Can you describe what happened?
Well, we're legal observers, and there was a march down the street, perfectly peaceful, arm in arm, and the police simply opened fire, no warning, tear gas, rubber bullets. They came in mass, and now they're chasing people with armored cars. This was a peaceful demonstration that included labor, that included young people, that included all kinds of people. It was completely unprovoked, totally unprovoked.
The Lawyers Guild and a lot of other people actually have trained legal observers to be out in the community and not to really be involved with the demonstrations, in fact to stay somewhat removed from them, but to be able to be in very good positions to observe, especially to observe the behavior of the police.
They've been ripping gas masks off people's faces. They have apparently, we've heard rumor, found it to be under martial law, to be against the law for anyone other than police to have tear gas or gas helmets on, and so they're ripping them off people.
Well, I heard there was something about a mayor saying there's a mayoral decree saying you couldn't have signs, protest signs.
Right, they've also removed protest signs from people. Anything that declares any kind of opinion about the WTO is being removed from people.
I think the basis of it is this state of emergency where Mayor Schell said that if people are seen within this certain region and they engage in protests, they'll be considered automatically to be doing something unlawful. It's really a fairly blatant suspension of the constitutionally protected rights to assemble and to speak. So, you know, when that spins into, well, now you can't even own a gas mask, now you can't own a banner, now you can't own a protest button, you know, it seems that those can't possibly be restrictions on people that have any basis in the Constitution.
Orders, they gave the orders to move forward. We were standing there asking to go through, we did not provoke them. And I saw them pepper spray her directly, and they tear gassed all of us. I saw them push her down and walk through her.
Had a rally down at the docks, and we went through the Pike Market and came up to the corner and saw those police chasing the kids down the street. These are the same kids that have been marching with us. They weren't doing anything wrong. And they were tear gassing them, and I've never seen it before, and I said, well, I'm gonna stick around and watch it. Now they tear gassed us, and now they pepper sprayed us.
I think so much was done that was so blatantly illegal and so blatantly abusive. I think many courts could find in the favor of people who were victimized, whose rights were violated, whose bodies were brutalized, and you know, I suppose it depends on the court, but they're not marginal legal issues. They're pretty clear, you know.
I'm just so ashamed of my country right now. I'm crying because I got pepper gas, but I'd cry anyway. I mean, it's...
watching.
For many people visiting or working in downtown Seattle, today was downright scary.
Starbucks is open!
Protesters.
Demonstrators.
Anti-WTO revolutionaries.
Gangs. Looting. Taking advantage.
About 5 or 6 canisters.
The police gassed us for no reason, and the media is telling the world that this is a way to control people. Or they say that we are people who do not know what we are protesting or what we are talking about.
The whole focus has been on the violence and the destruction of property, you know, not on the issues that people are out here demonstrating about. You know, the media has intentionally just glossed that over.
Someone's down, trying to get up.
Just totally ignored it. That's what the real problem is out here. The people don't have a voice to express, you know, their griefs.
The media all over the world is not buying that story. This is the US corporate media. I heard from a friend in India who said the headlines in all the mainstream newspapers in India were celebrating the close down of WTO meetings yesterday. And across class lines, across party lines, it is being celebrated in India.
Mainstream media I saw last night made it look like there were some people breaking windows and the police had to restore order.
And later on, I see on the television saying that the police have used this to control people.
Their locations and were quite upset by
People did not need to be controlled. We were marching peacefully.
The mainstream media is slanted. It's always slanted. It wouldn't have mattered what happened out here yesterday.
They have failed to represent and inform the readers of what is going on in the streets.
Maybe 1% of the massive amount of protesters that were out there chose to do property damage. They totally lost sight of what all of this is about. It's why people came from around the world to be here.
And yes, some vandalism has occurred, but it's very little compared to the number of people who are out there chanting and asking for peace. And we need to be very proud of our young people for the kind of restraint, for the kind of belief in nonviolence and peace they have demonstrated. Citizens of this country, and here I speak as somebody from India, citizens of this country need to be very proud because they should know there's a great future ahead in this future generation of ours.
We're speaking out for the people.
I was really pissed off this whole Generation X or apathetic portrayal of like young people when in fact we're or people I've seen are incredibly passionate, and the problem usually has been the lack of options we have for expressing ourselves.
People have realized how much youth are organizing and how educated youth are and how dedicated youth are and how important they are.
There were a lot of minors. We had to do separate jail solidarity trainings.
I've been out on the streets every single day this whole week, and every time I go home, I watch TV and it's just totally fucked up. The media's been covering it so wrong, and it's been always geared towards violence and riots when there has been no violence or riots towards particularly the youth activism.
A lot of the time, the media does play up they're just young and idealistic, They'll sell out like all their parents did in the 60s.
That's not what the whole message here is about. It's about getting our point across, having our voices heard. It's not about all that.
People were turning against the youth as if we were all the anarchists and all. It was like turning against us when we should be in solidarity. So I said, the only violence that's been done has been by the police, and youth don't hurt people like WTO.
I'm not really that surprised in a sense because I knew we always had it in us. I'm just glad that we had the occasion for it to come together like this.
We're standing up and we're fighting and we're going to keep going.
We got to do this. We got to go out here.
Right.
Tomorrow. You guys with the World Trade Organization? Yeah? What do you think about the meeting so far?
It's going pretty well.
It's going well? I heard that a lot of delegates were leaving.
No.
No? Everything's going fine? Business as usual?
So far.
Yeah? Is this like the normal situation World Trade Organization expects for future meetings?
I doubt it.
No? They'll think they'll have it under control by then?
Well, I think people will start to realize how important the trade is, and they'll back off on some.
Maybe the World
nonsense.
Trade Organization will realize how important the environment is and how important labor rights are.
I think they do.
I hope they get them. I hope so, because people are angry, you know.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are ignorant too.
Well, yeah, that's true. But, you know, it's not like the World Trade Organization knows it all. You got to listen.
I've been working on this for 28 years.
Yeah.
I know it very well.
What have you, can I ask what you've been working on?
On international trade for 28 years. It started with after the war, because the failure to understand the importance of trade helped to cause World War II. Brought Hitler to power. And it was after World War II that people said that can't happen again. And the GATT was
people are feeling like it is happening again in this country.
What is happening again?
Fascism.
Oh.
So,
we came here because we have got a big problem in Chile. Since a long time that there are coming big companies from the United States trying to cut down our forests.
The Global Free Logging Agreement is a plan by the World Trade Organization to increase logging worldwide by eliminating trade barriers to forest products such as wood and paper.
This is an agreement that has been negotiated completely in secret without any input from non-governmental organizations, and we're here to send a very clear message to the Clinton administration that the Global Free Logging Agreement is completely unacceptable.
Even their own study shows that it will increase logging in the most sensitive and biologically rich forests of countries like Chile, Indonesia, Malaysia, countries where timber corporations are heading already because they don't have very good environmental laws, they don't have good labor laws, and they have lots of virgin forests left.
What is meant to Indonesia is one of the largest producer of timber is increase the logging.
Our forests are very special in the world. There are not other forests like ours in all over the world.
Yeah, so we already lost 50% of our forest, and now with this agreement we predict that will increase 6% of our logging or exploitation of timber.
Insane use these forests without to have enough information.
When we look at what things like the Global Free Logging Agreement are going to do to our environmental protections and what the World Trade Organization intends to do with our environmental protections, it's egregious. It's just plain wrong.
This came from a briefing with the U.S. Trade Representative's office. Okay? With a bunch of forest protection groups. Yeah. And it confirmed all of our worst fears.
Yeah? They're selling off the forest.
They want to sign this free logging agreement this week. This week they want to finalize it. They want to put into the next round all of our protections for raw log export bans, invasive species, eco-labeling, all those things are going to be on the table. The MAI, the whole investment agenda. The news cameras are more interested in covering, you know, the chaos rather than the substance of what's going on inside.
And so I go over there, and it ends up being a certified NGO who's in the conference, listening to all the closed-door legislation they're doing, and it's Victor Minotti.
I haven't heard any news other than that the third world wants to change the rules on fracking.
There was a police car waiting to the left of me on 4th Avenue, behind the police cordon, and they opened up, they zipped in, they popped open the door, they threw Victor in, and they were gone. And it was that quick.
The corner, fifth and James.
I think 99% of the people that have been involved in demonstrations all this week have been involved peacefully.
By setting up a no protest zone, basically police lumped all protesters together and interfered with the rights of people who are doing perfectly lawful things to express their views on a major political issue that's currently getting a lot of attention.
Yesterday, my boyfriend and my mother went downtown to see what was going on.
And I don't think they should get arrested. Let them demonstrate and express solidarity with their brothers and their friends and their comrades in the manner that they're doing. They're not hurting anything.
And they were clearly a mile out of the protest-free zone when, standing on a corner, a couple hundred people, when they were surrounded by police cars, and, or actually the tanks, the armored tanks, and without any provocation or warning, then they started loading them onto buses.
We have not been read our rights, we have not been told our charges, they just loaded us up and here we are.
They were forced to, on the bus, relieve themselves on the bus. They wouldn't let them out to do anything. And they refused them any legal counsel.
We have been arrested without being charged, and we are being detained here without being charged, and we'd like to speak with our lawyer.
I want to speak to a lawyer.
I just got a phone call from him from inside of the prison. And he sounded very, very meek, very, very broken, very tired. He hasn't slept at all.
I've witnessed things in the last 4 days that I didn't believe could happen in America.
And he actually said he saw people beaten right in front of him at the King County Jail. He was very adamant that he couldn't even begin to tell me the things that he's seen.
To have the riot police here stand down. There will be no tear gassing. There will be nothing. Just to stand down on the police.
We are not going away tomorrow, the day after. They're continuing negotiations. That we will not go away. We will come back tomorrow. We will come back the next day. We will make sure they are out. We will be at the mayor's office, in front of this jail, at Sandpoint, wherever we have to fucking go to make sure that every single one of them is out.
We will stop this war against the earth. We will stop the war against the small farmers. We will stop the war against our bodies.
I would never knowingly permit a single pound of any American food product to leave this country if I had a shred of evidence that it was unsafe.
Genetic engineering allows scientists to move genes across species barriers in many ways not possible through conventional breeding techniques. Some sources for these genes include bacteria, viruses, and even animals.
But everybody must understand, we have nothing to hide, and we're eating this food too.
Just think what's happened in the United States this century with the bioinvasive alien species like the gypsy moth, like the chestnut blight that wiped out the most important tree in the eastern United States practically overnight. Now we have the zebra mussel plague. Here and everywhere we have this incredible damage, over $100 billion a year damaged under our economy by these exotic species. That should scare us into being very careful about introducing new exotic things. One reason we're here at Safeway is that we wrote the major grocery stores and asked them to go free of genetically engineered ingredients. Safeway wrote back and said it's really not possible. Most of the stuff on all the grocery store shelves in the United States has genetically engineered ingredients. Our estimate is that 70% of the food people are eating today has these genetically engineered ingredients.
The reason most people...
It's a big scam because the major corporations like Monsanto want to control every aspect of agriculture.
A lot of what the Food and Drug Administration in the US has used to show the supposed safety of these foods has come from industry itself. There isn't really a lot of independent research that's been done to establish what the ecological hazards might be from GE foods.
Campesinos nuestros, hermanos nuestros en la India, en Brasil, han quemado, destruido plantaciones de organismos genéticamente modificados de algodón, maíz, soya y otros. Principalmente de Monsanto, la transnacional norteamericana, Cargill y Novartis. Entonces, no a los organismos genéticamente modificados.
What is happening is that you have to buy the seeds to be able to grow. If farmers get hooked on this, it's not only farmers in the south who are going to suffer, it's farmers in the north as well.
But even in the United States, where more than 1,500 farmers have been sued for pirating seed when all they did was save seed, which is what farmers must do. It is their moral duty.
We are here in Seattle also at the World Trade Organization because this body is about to perpetuate the Frankenfood experiment on the entire planet. It's bad enough that the Clinton administration did this to the American people. Now he's trying to get all of the world to accept this.
I mean, the thing is, food is the common denominator. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got to eat. Everybody got to eat. And if people are eating unhealthy food, I mean, they can survive. There'll be something resembling a human continuing to exist. But just like anything else, it's like if you got a car, you be putting jacked off gas up in it, it's not going to work right.
Well, when you look at it, you see that there's approximately 5 companies in the entire world that control nearly 100% of all the grain in the world.
And so if you have farmers in North America, if you have farmers otherwhere, they're not getting the profits from food. It's global corporations that are acting as middlemen.
And you wonder why the farmer worldwide doesn't control his own market and why he's suffering low prices and why he's being shoved aside.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that the black farmers were the canaries that were sent down the mine shaft first, and they saw how they can get rid of us, and now they're using the same tactics they used to get rid of us, to get rid of the small farmers all over the world, and to get rid of small farmers here in America.
The WTO, it's a creature that does not listen to the people.
And that's why we wanted to be in the big march on the 13th. And this big march, farmers and workers were together in the first line. And for us, this was very important because it's the first time in the world story that we can make that link between workers and farmers.
Tonight, the World Trade Organization meetings are being declared a failure.
We shut down the WTO. We've made their meetings cancel. We've expressed to the world that we're not going to put up with this undemocratic system and this kind of institutions that push us down.
Organized labor does not tolerate lower standards for any worker, anywhere, for any reason. We will fight for those workers. We will not stop.
I think what was accomplished was the building of a network of people that is going to be very difficult to break.
We've demonstrated that this is an issue of great importance to ordinary Americans of every stripe, from every political spectrum.
And you had such a revolt going on outside the ministerial, with people on the street and protesters and so on, and you had a serious revolt inside the ministerial.
Delegates will be leaving Seattle tomorrow, Dan, and they'll have nothing to show for their effort.
The issues the delegates were talking about here and the issues the people outside were protesting about, they concurred. The only difference is that the people out there were not able to come in here.
Ambassador Barshevsky from the U.S. and Mike Moore just gave a very brief and long-faced explanation for how there are deep crises within the institution. They said that the WTO is taking a time out. That something's going to continue on in Geneva, but there are no parameters or no timetables or really anything. So for us, it's total victory.
The meeting was conducted in a very non-participatory manner, in a very undemocratic manner, very non-transparent, and therefore we felt that in many situations that we were left out in the discussions, and therefore we had nothing to discuss, therefore we had nothing to agree on.
Bottom line of why the negotiations fell apart was a combination of two factors. For the first time in the GATT or WTO negotiations, countries came here having told their public they wouldn't undermine their public interest, and this time they were sufficiently exposed that when the closed room deals started, in fact, they were held to what their public wanted.
The politics of the WTO and the politics of trade in the United States and across the globe will never quite be the same.
This is our democracy.
around jobs and productivity and trade without representation from the people, the real people, not just the bureaucrats controlled by the puppet strings of the dollar bill, but the real people, the workers of this world, the people who build the buildings, the people, the real people, the people on the assembly lines. You must include the people.
Well, definitely today we have shown that people can be united against the mighty force.
Everybody goes back to their four corners of the world now to take democracy back and spread it. And that's the real key. Take the whole world tell the world about the WTO. Tell them that it's a people's uprising that's going to stop it, and that's what we have to do.
I think the big message we take is to go back to our own original places and organize ourselves against the mighty power.
We keep going. This is just the beginning. Definitely, this is not protests. These are not just protests in the street. This is a mobilization of the communities and people that are all around us. So we're going to continue.
So can you tell me, are you going to have a chance to do some holiday shopping this year?
Oh yeah, I do a lot of holiday shopping.
That's great.
My holiday shopping plans. Well, now that everything's boarded up downtown and there's police surrounding most of the malls, Police and National Guardsmen have been working overtime this week to protect the city, and they're getting a lot of thanks for their efforts. In fact, some people are bringing hot coffee and treats to the troops as they stand in the streets.
Yeah, it's been amazing. We've had cookies, bagels, coffee. They just go into stores and buy stuff for us. It's been great.
Or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
The WTO protests were not about a few isolated issues. They were about a corporate attempt to take away our power. The brutality of the police was not the crime of a few individual cops. It was the reaction of a system threatened by the sound of our voices. In the streets, we did not ask for concessions. In these days, we were free. This is what democracy looks like.
I will absolutely never be the same again. I've never seen this before. I've never seen people stand up like this before. And I'm going to take this home, and this is going to keep me going for a long time, because it's really opened my eyes to some amazing possibilities.
We've seen something that we need to be able to carry with us and keep going. Because something like this is going to happen again before too long. You know, this is the turning point. We have the beginnings of a new movement, I think.
There was a banner, you know, Teamsters and Turtles together at last. That was so wonderful. Of course, we belong together. The same people who exploit natural resources exploit human resources. We belong together.
It's time to stop feeling as though we are isolated entities living lives of unsatisfactory consumption and oppression. It's that we can do it. It's that we have it in us.
Isn't this extraordinary? I've been around since the 60s and my dad in the 30s with the UAW, and this is really happening for the first time. It's great.
The WTO went against too many people at once. You know, labor, environmental movement, women's rights, animal rights, every different type of group of people is affected by this in some way, shape, or form. And that's their worst mistake ever. If they had kept their power a little bit more hidden, then they would probably be okay. But you know what? They made the biggest mistake ever because they pissed off too many people. And now we're going to fight back, and we're going to fight back unified. And that's what's going to help us.
They shot us with rubber bullets, but they still couldn't silence us. They set up curfews and zones, and we broke right through them. So we want to thank all of you for being here today, because we could not have had this victory without the solidarity that all of you have shown. Give yourselves a hand.
I think the people behind on the other side of the screen, the people watching this at home, should recognize that the world has woken up and that there's a huge demand for fair trade, and there's a lot more imagination going on in the streets and in social movements about what our global economy can look like than there is going on in those meetings.
I am reading this off my pager.
I am reading this off my pager.
This is direct information.
This is direct information.
A complete collapse.
A complete collapse.
There will be no new millennium round.
There will be no new millennium round.
I went up to Seattle to start a brand new world built from the heart and stand beneath the starry crown. Good world, show me the way. Come on, people, let's go up. Come on up, don't you wanna go up? Come on, people, let's go up to Seattle to start. Well, I went up to Seattle to see what's become of democracy as tears roll down my tear-gassed eyes. Good world, show me the way. Come on, children, let's go up. Come on.